Contronym is screen. It can mean to show as well as to hide.
Wow, we're on a roll, aren't we? Okay, one more. Sanction. It can mean either a penalty for disobeying a law or official permission or approval for an action.
Wow, I told you English is amazing, didn't I?
You did. Yeah, there you go. Contronyms. Fascinating English words. Okay then, shall we get into the papers? The news review is brought to us by Milo Energy to go further. Enterprise Life's Family Income Security Plan, Enterprise Your Advantage, and First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different.
Yes, because before we get into the papers, it's important we talk about one thing that, the majority leader, our Chairman Sabonso, has been talking about.
Everybody is talking about it.
He's talked about, he suggested a reduction in the number of ministers of state. According to him, fewer ministers will lower the pressure on the public purse. And he was speaking at a public lecture at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology on Tuesday. And he explained that based on the 1992 Constitution, the president is mandated to appoint 19 cabinet ministers. Yes. And he, therefore, is of the view that there's no need to appoint many ministers when only 19 cabinet ministers are actually needed to decide on government policies.
And the Constitution provides that you shall assist the president to evolve policies for your ministry. You are telling us at the appointment committee that we should approve of you. When you go there, you go and learn. So what value addition are they adding to your governance? How are such persons, rudimental learners, going to assist the president in the determination of general policy of the ministries, the superintendent? It is one principal reason why, as a nation, we are marking time. We are stuck because many of our ministers do not add value to our governance. That's the truth. And I'm not here talking about the current MPP administration. I refer to all administrations since 1993. The time has come for us to seriously introspect on this. And hasn't the time come for us to place in the Constitution an upper ceiling on the number of ministers of state that we should have? As I've already stated, cabinet ministers assist the president in the evolution of policies. That is according to Article 76 of the Constitution. If that is the case, as I believe it is, why have such huge number of ministers in the first place?
Interesting thoughts. But if Gabi Asare Dakun's thoughts are anything to go by, and he is usually quite an accurate barometer of what the president is thinking, then maybe this is not how the president sees things. Let's listen to Gabi. He spoke on the 2nd of July 2022 on Newsfile.
It's easy to look at the number of ministers. The number of ministers we have in Ghana now is no different from what we had in 2016. The number now. If you want to go further,
sorry,
it's an idea.
2016.
Please, go and look at it. Look at the numbers. You can make the argument that cut down on the numbers of ministers. You can look at all that. But clearly, we have a government that this year, it has cut down expenditure by 30%. That must mean something. Perhaps you should go into the details and ask yourself, what is suffering?
Okay.
Because it's gone down 30%. Imagine your salary being cut down by 30%. And that's exactly what has happened in terms of government expenditure. So clearly, you can't say that there's too much waste, even if there is waste. And I would not deny that there isn't waste. But you can see that realistic and tangible efforts are being put in to cut down on expenditure. And that itself must mean something.
Morning Show.
Yeah. So are you?
No, I get the point. The president himself had actually had cause when he had almost over 100 or so ministers to say that the job is big. So he needs a big government to deliver on the job.
That's what he said in 2017.
Yes, and we ended up at the IMF. So I'm not sure whether it's really a reflection of how many ministers you should have in reality. But I agree perfectly that we have so much waste in government. Our government is big and useless. That's where the problem really is. It is huge and completely useless. I agree. There's no need for any deputy minister in the first place. 2, I also agree that the 19 is fine, and it's a bigger story on the daily graphics, because people influencing policy in this country, there are very few. And if you really want to make change, you can do it with smaller numbers.
He also said the vice president position is useless, actually. And that's causing wave in the country. But if you compare to what the experts have said in the run-up to building up this constitution before the Constitutive Assembly made changes, they actually did not propose that position for a vice president.
Say that again.
The expert committee that worked on our constitution, they didn't propose any position for a vice president.
Yeah, and you realize that we mirror the American system,
Yeah.
where the vice president doesn't actually have a specific role defined in the constitution. He's merely there to deputize or sit in for the president in times of absence or incapacity or whatever the case may be, just so that there is continuity of government. But he's your spare tire in the boot of your car. You don't use it every day. You don't give it a role to play every day. It's when you have a puncture that it becomes useful. That's the idea. But here in Ghana, of course, we have conventions. And so conventionally, we put the vice president in a certain position. We say he's the manager of the economic management team, which is another creation of convention, not of law. And then they sit there and they are supposed to advise those who manage the economy. And whether those people will take your advice or not is another matter.
But based on all that have been said, one simple thing: we need to amend our constitution. We need to amend our constitution, for instance, to indicate that you do not need regional ministers.
Yes.
And there's
Thank
16
you.
of them. They do really basically. What we need all of these for. The deputy ministers, I agree with you. They also go in there to assist the ministers. What do they really do? And one of the things we have done these days is to have a minister, and we have deputy ministers in charge of the various sectors under the ministry. So at the Ministry of Energy, we have a deputy minister in charge of petroleum, and a deputy minister in charge of power, and one in charge of the finances of or developmental projects of the ministry. It's very simple.
And not all of them are even technocrats. So you're not thinking of people who are going to add anything onto it. It's almost like apprenticeship. Minister in the future, I want to make you minister, so now be deputy minister.
But you see,
why are you using what they call it, where the very best of our skills are supposed to be deployed, is where we are doing apprenticeship.
Chairman Sabonsu makes a point that the ministers are supposed to be in charge of policy.
Yeah.
Now they come for vetting, and this is where I am also disappointed in Chairman Sabonsu. You've sat in the vetting committee all this while, only to now start telling us a lot of people come for vetting, and it now tell you that when I get to the ministry, I'll see what I'm going to do, and you pass them
based on policy. How was it possible? How Akumsi is a minister,
and you pass them?
I am even interested in the relevance of the role of Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
We'll come back. We'll talk about this later on.
But just before we move on, a quick, because you mentioned regional ministers, it's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay.
This is what the Constitution says is the role of a regional minister. Okay, so this is section 145, subsection 2. The regional minister shall A, represent the president in the region. That's the first rule. B, be responsible for the coordination and direction of the administrative machinery in the region. And then C, exercise such powers and perform such functions as may be delegated to him by the president. C is obviously not anything specific. So A and B. Let's start with B. Be responsible for coordination and direction of the administrative machinery in the region. Okay, that's his job. But if there is no administrative machinery in the region, he won't have a job. So if there's no regional minister, that role will not exist. A, represent the president in the region. So what's the DCE and MC also doing? So what's the point of a regional minister? Anyway, we'll come back to that later. Right now, though, in the papers.
Now, so that story we're talking about, reduced ministers to 19, Chairman Sabonsu advocates. Voter region is ready for investors. That's Minister Dr. Archibald Yao Lecha telling the entire country. Buffer stock needs, 100 million Ghana cedis to avert SHS food crisis. And they are telling us, we the people, anyway, now let me move on to the other one. IMF commits to Ghana after 5-finding mission. So when they finished their work yesterday, they issued a statement. They say, we have seen the books, Ghana has challenges, and we are going to help out, hopefully in the future, effectively.
Well, let's see what happens. Let's get to the daily guide for this morning. And it says, MCE driver die in accident. Parliament decides Adjoa Safo's fate. AB Krenzel passes on. And NPP ready for elections. Now, on this particular one, I've seen the comment by Suleiman Abrahima, and I associate with that. Now, here we are at a time where we have labor unions on strike at the time when we're complaining that there's no money within the system. And the next thing the governing party thinks about the most is to elect national executives to prepare it for election 2024. This is not the best time for the NPP to go for its conference. One, because what is going to happen at the conference, we all know, is that we'll see the opulence.
Profligate
is spent. People are going to,
ostentatious.
as much as the parties talked about, we are not going to engage in vote buying and all of that. There will be vote buying. It's been happening in, these levels. Now, Labour is telling you that you do not give us any sign that times are hard.
Yeah.
And so we need 20% cost of living allowance. If there's anything that would urge Labour on, it will be the NPP's annual delegates conference. That is why I associate 110% with Suleiman Abrahima. If the NPP cares about the challenges we are facing now, this is not the time to have its national delegates conference. The NPP can postpone it. Under COVID-19, they postpone the elections, and they can do same now.
You don't have faith that they are about to have the first ever money-free delegates conference in the history of Ghanaian politics. Why?
Ojo, I have covered elections before. I still remember how much candidates gave in Tamale.
That's true.
I remember how much candidates gave in Kofuridi.
And
we were in Kofuridi.
And because of
We saw
inflation,
it.
They will give more. So this is the time the NPP must prove that it thinks about Ghana. This is not the time to be thinking about breaking the 8. This is the time to be fixing the country. This is not the time to think about breaking the 8. In fact, I agree with those who say this is the time we need an all hands on deck. Let's get the opposition parties. Look, you need a century consensus. Let everybody come together, and all of us agree.
But we all have an enhanced domestic program.
Please, we need. Look, one of the things the Century Consensus did, even though the NPP boycotted, some of its members, like Yawasaf Mafo, was there. Because they were invited in their personal capacity. We need to sit down as a nation. Let us not pretend that all is well in this country, because all is not well. Today, I am told that customs, SEPS, I am backing on a sit-down strike.
That will be like the 7th or so, and 4 more giving indications they will do so
the
in the
people
future.
who are started to be collecting money for you, I'm backing on a sit-down strike.
And you not meet revenue targets in a country that's struggling to raise money.
And the next thing you think about is breaking the 8.
Anyway, now, before I go to this point, there's a point that needs to be remembered that all of this strike, if some teachers take 571 cedis, it doesn't make sense for them to be denied this COLA 20%. You think about it. How much is 20% of 500 cedi?
That's your
or 600, how much is that? Why is that difficult for us to cushion them with just that?
Well, you see, the argument then is that you start there and then you end where? Okay, that is the concern of government. I'm not saying I share their concern, because genuinely, they are able to spend money on things that are ridiculously irrelevant compared to paying teachers well. So I get why teachers are not willing to hear anything, but I'm just voicing that government, their response will be that, Charlie, if we give it to A, we must give to B, C, D, and E, and even there are about 7 of them now, about to go on strike. But look, anyway, I love Winston's soundbite. This is not the time to break the 8. This is the time to fix the country. So you are making somebody excited.
Anyway,
you are making somebody very excited. Anyway, and making some delegates very agitated. Anyway, what else is in the papers?
BNFT is reporting this morning that industry is anxious of tariff-induced inflation as PURC readies to announce new rates.
You see, PURC have nicely found a way to say they've deferred the announcement.
And you see, and the funny part is that they basically have told us that we will increase it. But we are looking at the one that is acceptable.
The timing.
So, well, anyway. So that's what they are reporting this morning.
The Business Finance says will retain full value chain of lithium and other green minerals. That's Jinapo. Spread good news about the capital market and don't turn state lands into slums. Deputy Minister warns encroachers.
All right, let's go online. The online review is brought to us by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle Good Energy.
And Goyle, your oil marketing company of choice, keeps making life so convenient for you. Goyle now accepts Momo for all fuel purchases at selected stations. Just remember to Momo it at Goyle, and that's not all. You can also use your bank card to buy fuel at Goil, and this is made possible by APSA. Drive to Goil stations now, buy your fuel, pay by Momo or a bank card, and you're good to go. Visit Goil's social media platforms, Facebook, Goil.official, Instagram, Goil_GH, and on Twitter, Goil_official for more information. On the service stations, you can conveniently use Momo. Goil, good energy, Goil. Yeah, dear.
All right. Now, decentralize the management of food supplies to senior high schools. That's Professor Adai Mensah making I would have thought is an obvious.
I said that
call.
yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, you're not the first.
Yeah.
You've got these schools have these management teams, don't they?
Yeah, school management committees.
They are well placed to do this, if not for politics. All right then. CityNewsroom.com has. That's a strange looking picture at the top. PURC to announce decision on tariff increment proposals tomorrow. We just heard of that from the newspapers. BBC's homepage has Sri Lankan Prime Minister tells military to restore order. Oh, goodness. I wonder how that will go. Goodness, have you seen the crowds?
Yeah.
And they're throwing the military in there. Hey, Razi. Well, let's pray for Sri Lanka. Time now for the BBC News.
Brought to us by Fidelity Bank. Believe with us. Edlom Housing, where quality and spacious homes cost less. And Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Jack, you know my boss owns a fleet of commercial cars and he drives only brand new vehicles. Latest. Before he hired me, this is what he said. Krachi, my vehicles are my investment. It is a winning, now winning, and you buy any fuel apart from Goil. Waboka, sign this undertaking.
But he was right?
Yes, and he's right. Goil stocks only higher grade fuels, further enriched with XP3, multifunctional enhancer, more efficient, eco-friendly, and at no extra cost. Available at every Goil station at Jibebia. Goil Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP, higher grade fuels, excellent for modern engines and all vehicles. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yes, you.
Goil is good energy.
At Enterprise Life, it's possible to live your best life. Ladies, enjoy cover for your lifestyle with Bloom Life Insurance for today's woman. Families, let's safeguard your well-being with a family income security plan because family matters. And for you, live freely with our Funeral Finance Plan Unlimited with no restrictions, no limits as you cover your loved ones and yourself. WhatsApp us on 0554 001 924 or call 0307 084 444 for your solution.
You for dream big. Dream big with us.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Hey, Efo, what brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
Oh, it's never well with me or my brother. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small steering and excuses from artisans. Charlie, I'm tired though. Works that can be done in 2 weeks are done over 2 months. I have to pay them whether the work is good or not.
I told you so, Efo.
It's all because you're trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlom has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes with very flexible payment terms. For more information, please visit edlomhousing.com. Send an email to sales@edlomhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlom Housing, where spacious and quality homes cost less.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM. Mimma biwa.